Brett, people called for a public inquiry almost immediately after this happened. That call has been answered. What should we make of the province's decision to call an inquest?
Yeah, so right off the bat, you can note that Quebec can say that they are taking action. And the thing to bear in mind about coroner's inquests is that they are fact-finding missions. So they are public hearings. They take place in a courtroom. They will summon witnesses, and this will take place in front of a jury. But what they will examine, is pretty narrow or limited in scope. They will look into the circumstances surrounding Joyce Echaquan's death, and they will, in this case, offer recommendations. And these are essentially policy options on how to avoid situations like this in the future. But there are some things to remember, and that is what this is not. This is not a provincial public commission of inquiry. Quebec, of course, just had one of these that issued its final report last year, and that's known as the Viens Commission. And they had over 100 recommendations that dealt with similar issues to this. And the coroner's inquest is going to add to that list of recommendations. So now the key, a lot of people would say, is to implement those recommendations and move forward that way.
What can Joyce Echaquan's family expect to get out of this coroner's report?
So I asked this question to a cousin of Brian Sinclair, who died tragically in a Winnipeg hospital after seeking medical attention. And they eventually pulled out of the coroner's inquests because they felt the scope was too narrow. And I spoke with the president of the Indigenous Bar Association, Drew Lafon, who explained that the coroner's investigatory tools are relatively limited, and they often leave families feeling like justice has not been served or still seeking answers. And that's because, again, a coroner's inquest, it's not a criminal proceeding. There won't be any charges laid as a result of this. It's purely a fact-finding mission with a limited mandate.
When speaking of criminal charges, lots of people are calling for criminal investigation and charges in connection with this. How would something like that figure into the inquest process?
And this is the key thing that we're all watching going forward. So under Quebec's Coroners Act, if and when somebody is charged with an indictable offense stemming from this incident, this will essentially put the coroner's inquest on the back burner. So what's happening right now is that the coroner is investigating, likely cooperating with local police. And if police decide to charge somebody as a result of the death of Joyce Echaquan, the coroner's inquest will have to wait, because as I said before, it's not a criminal trial and it's not a criminal proceeding. So the outcome of any criminal investigation will likely be submitted as evidence at the coroner's hearings.
Well, something that we'll all be watching as this all unfolds before us. Thanks so much for joining us, Brett.
Thanks.